now we want to talk a little bit about more of like our current events and kind of deals you've got going on and more difficult deals or out of the ordinary situations. So what kind of things have you got going on right now that are outside the box?
The main one that comes in mind right now is the owner finance. We closed, it was Hotto. We represent the buyers. Closed last year, middle of the summer last year. Did a wrap, closed with the title company. And we just got a call last week saying that the lender is, what is it called? The
Due on sale clause?
Due on sale clause.
Yeah.
So it is a clause in every single mortgage that if you sell the property, you're supposed to pay the full amount. There's always loopholes and ways to go around it. And it's difficult for the lender to find out because lenders, as soon as if you pay them, they're happy. So they really are not searching. But it seems that lately, and maybe because all these mortgages were originated in between like at 3% during the pandemic years.
Right.
So like at 2 point something to 4. So lenders are thinking, okay, if they are going to be doing the wraps and owners are going to be making money on our money, might as well start calling those and resell them a higher interest rate.
Right. Yeah. Because you and I have been doing a lot of these. We think we have investor groups that have been doing this for, some of the big groups here, there's guys that have been doing this for 30 years. In fact, the guy that we close title with has been speaking in front of Congress about this. They know this stuff inside and out. They've been doing it and for years. It's a great program, actually. There's a lot of ways to go about it, too. There's lots of versions of it, but they're all wraps. And back in the day, it was almost impossible to get it done. We had examples of some of the big guys in those groups that literally would call the bank and say, could you please call this due because the situation, they need something. They just don't. They don't care. They don't care who's paying. They have this out there for a reason. It's not about anything other than the property being backed by, or the loan being backed by the property and somebody paying what's due.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all they care about.
Yes.
But to your point, I think now it's more now because there's been forever where rates were probably good and such, but right now they went up so much recently that, these ones that really work better for it are the people that are maybe upside down even because of when they bought in 2022, but they have a really great interest rate.
Exactly.
The only way they're really going to be able to sell their home is to market that interest rate and sell it with owner financing.
And it's good for the buyer too, because the buyer has the potential to buy a house with a lower interest rate than what are these offer in the market. So it's honestly a win-win situation. So the seller can get money on the gap, and if they have equity, like if they own it for more, they can make extra money. So when you really break down the numbers, and it happened last year and it happens with all the deals that we've been dealing with owner finance, when you break the numbers, sometimes the sellers are like, I don't want to deal with this. I want to just sell it. And then you show them the numbers, how much money they make. And they're like, oh, can we just try to sell it that way before?
I've got two just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the last couple of weeks. Once we presented it, they're like, oh, okay. Well, can we make them do owner financing?
Yeah.
I said, I think you're going to limit your buyer pool, of course. But it's a very good program. And like you were mentioning, on some of these, if you've got a really good rate, and I'm going to use actually, on some of these that we've been dealing with recently. So, one was a $3 million deal, right? And they owe $1 million on theirs. And they're at, what were they at? They were at like somewhere around 4%. Let's call it 4%. So they're going to owner finance the $3 million deal. They're putting 20% down. So they're going to get their $600,000. They are offering, say 5.5% rate. So to the buyer, who would be right now getting a 7.5% rate, this is fantastic. Not only do I get a 2% lower deal, how much money am I going to save over those first 5 years or however long it may go? Also, the closing costs are way lower, saving a bunch of money there. But the seller, they have their $1 million note at 4%. They're going to wrap that whole thing. So let's just say the whole thing is $2 million for easy numbers. The whole new note, $1 million of it, they're paying 4% on, but they're charging 5.5%. So they're getting a 1.5 spread on money that's not even theirs.
Exactly.
Right? I'm borrowing to give. And then on the remaining $1 million, it's their equity. that otherwise they'd get paid off, but they're making now 5.5% on that. And they still get their big up chunk down payment. So they're getting some money to enable them to move on and do things, but they're making that added profit. And one of the benefits too is that you're going to pay, if you have capital gains on what you're pulling out of that 20% that they're putting down, if that puts you in a positive, well, that does get capital gains. But the rest of it, it gets spread out. So you're not getting this huge $3 million capital gains hit, jumps you way up in everything. It gets spread out as you make it. And as I understand it, it's the interest comes back to you as income, regular income, and the principal does get just taxed at a
capital
gains rate.
And each situation, each situation is different. And we always suggest when we're talking to sellers about selling this way to consult with their CPA.
Sure.
Because they always like their situation and the way they tax and the way they report to the IRS can be different. Also, who owns the house, if it's like they reported jointly with marriage. So it's a lot of things we need to take a look at it. But tax defer benefits is definitely one of the biggest for the seller.
Right.
And for the buyer, they can buy a lower interest rate. And normally these owner finance deals are always come with an ARM or with a balloon a balloon loan, which is the seller doesn't want to be with it for 30 years. It gets amortized 30 years, so the payment gets low, but it is a balloon of 3, 5, 10 years. And some of these sellers don't even penalize for the buyers to get out of it. Some of them want them to make, some of them are like calculate everything to like, I want to make 5 years out of this interest rate, and then I want you to go refi with somebody else. Right. And the buyer has these 5 years to chop things around, to create, to stay in the house. It's a good deal.
Right. And to your point with the others, when you introduce this to them, suddenly all the sellers want it. There are also some sellers that say, okay, I'm going to do this because maybe they feel like they need it to make them more marketable in a market like we have right now, or whatever the case. They're doing it, they like it, but they're maybe doing a little bit more of desperation than specific, like, yeah, I want it. And then they start seeing it go through. And not only do they want it, but they're like, hey, we have a 3-year balloon on this. They're like, hey, can we extend the balloon? Can I keep lending to them?
Yes.
Like, wow, this is really great.
Yes.
Now, obviously, in your recent case, this is when the one bad thing where that due on sale.
Yeah, we have very low percentage. I was talking to the lawyer at the Capital, it wasn't Capital, I was at the title agency, and was telling me that he is seeing more, but still like less than 10. So it's like total, like out of
less than
hundreds and thousands of loans and wraps out there, So it's still a very low percentage. And that's what is important when you are making those wraps, to make sure you are protecting yourself. And they know how to fix it. They're going to fix it, and it's going to cost money for both parties. So it's almost like another closing cost. Because they have to redo some things to make sure everybody's protected, and the lender doesn't want all their money at once. So one of the options will be for the buyer just to go refi and just pay it, but he doesn't want to do it right now just because interest rates are really high right now. Higher, especially for him, because he is an IT number, so his interest rate will be like between 9, 10, or 11, so that is high. If it wouldn't be a regular buyer, maybe going and shop right now where interest rates are in the 6s, it might not be a bad idea just to get it done with. So he prefers to reclose that deal, to keep it going for another 2-3 years until he can actually refi out of it.
Right. And not to go into too much detail, but as I understand it, roughly what they're doing, if this comes up, they're kind of transferring it back. They're creating a trust, which now I understand they're starting to just do that up front anyway, which can eliminate this. But building a trust in which the buyer is the sole beneficiary, so that it kind of eliminates that lender awareness.
Yeah, that's one of the loopholes to create a land trust. And the land trust is normally the name of the address of the property, right, and the beneficiary is the buyer. So it's just a way around it, but things you need to know before you go to closing.
Right. And one of the things you mentioned, it's a lot of these, as I said, we're working one on that $3 million deal. Often, contrary to popular belief, these are biggest with really high-end deals. And a part of that is not only the attractiveness that those buyers, they look at this rate and they see all this, but a lot of them have taxes that they arrange to where on paper they don't qualify for the same thing that they can actually very easily qualify. So that they can have trouble getting the loan that they want, but they might have excellent credit. They've got plenty of money to put down, a fantastic history of paying, great jobs, all this, doctors and attorneys, all kinds of things like this that this really appeals to because it's a better way to qualify for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the deal last year that it was 1.8 in Westlake. It was a lawyer who wanted to buy it, and he was looking different scenarios.
Which one?
The one in Rollinwood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's appealing to the people who make a lot of money. And I mean, if you look at self-employed people who sometimes they tax in a way that they show that they don't make any money because they put some in expenses. So regular lending is not an option for them to have these opportunities. And during the pandemic years, we didn't see many owner finance deals out there. Now we're seeing more and more and more great opportunities to get into it.
Wow, especially because during the pandemic years, rates were ridiculously low. You don't need to go owner finance. It's like who's going to be able to beat that deal?
Exactly. And for sellers, they were higher than what the public was. I mean, what the lender was offering. So they were getting out of a 5, 6.
Right.
To get into a 2, and now is the opposite. So now that's what we're
not even mention nobody was selling their home.
Yeah, during the winter. Yes. But yeah, that's one of the out of the boxes cases we're seeing, and we just wanted to let you know how we are gonna work around it to get it close.